Hey y'all, Bob with Million Mile Garage. It may not look like it, but we've made a lot of progress on the Duster. I'm trying to tackle this driver side motor mount. We did the passenger side last video. And just showing you down in here, that's what I'm having a bad time with. I can't get a socket in there. A socket won't go. It's even my smallest one won't fit in there. I tried using a crow's foot wrench. I've always found those to be fairly useless. I was able to get it up in there, but I just couldn't get the purchase to loosen it up, and I didn't want to pull a muscle. It's really, I basically ended up coming in, took the splash shield off, and just came in through there on my back, kind of give my back a rest. The stooping over the fender stuff, I'm not really up for that anymore. I tried using a box end, 11/16, and problem with the box end is I couldn't find a spot where I could get it lined up on the nut where I actually had travel to turn it, even coming in, from underneath the car. So I just kind of accepted defeat last night, and I went out and got a what do you call them? A ratcheting wrench. So unfortunately, you got to buy a whole kit to get it, and of course, at Harbor Freight, the $20 kit doesn't include 11/16, and these are Quinn. Kind of funny how the prices on all that Harbor Freight stuff is going up now that we don't really have Sears anymore. But that looks like that's going to get the job done. It was just too hard to get up in there. I just could not, no matter what I did. I probably could have got by with buying another open-end wrench, but it will take forever with that open-end wrench. And my other open-end 11/16 is stuck on here, in between the header and then the outer part of the fastener sticking out on the other side. And there's really nowhere for me to get up in there other than doing it that way. I guess if I used a really short wrench, I could come in from below, but again, it's just so tight in there. It looks like my best option is just to use a ratchet wrench. Austin's pretty well got the parts cleaned up pretty good. He's gonna give these a fresh coat of Chrysler blue. Of course, after I'll drive that old seal out. Just looking at it, I don't remember how I did it. It's kind of weird. It doesn't have a lip on it. It almost looks like what they want you to do is drive them in from the rear, but I don't see any tool marks on it. I'm not sure how I would do that without screwing it up. I guess I could use a block of wood and go in from the back and drive it in. Support it on a block of wood. Not really sure what to do on that one. It's kind of a weird seal. But anyway, he kind of finished cleaning everything up. I pressure washed it. Believe it or not, he got most of it done with a pressure washer. That cleaned up pretty good. Not perfect, but I would say good enough. I also did break down and buy a new compressor clutch, which I think I mentioned before. It finally came in, and here's the, it's a Murray, and it looks like the gap is very tight, which I guess the way they do that on these, because they don't have an adjustable gap. I kind of found that out with the other one. So it looks identical to the clutch that was giving me a bad time. For whatever reason, the gap opened up on it, and it also wobbled a little bit. I don't know if I can show you all this good enough in here. You can see there's a little bit of a gap underneath that snap ring, and then it's tight on the other side. So this thing is not mounted in there. It doesn't stay square or true. And of course, there's the Woodruff key stuck in there. I'll have to reuse that. Japan-made bearing, which is nice. This one also has a Japan-made bearing, which I thought was cool. Is it NOK? Yep, sees Japan on the bottom right there. So I would say that's a good bearing. And again, I guess there's no way to adjust the air gap on these. I guess once the gap closes up, I'm not sure how you fix that other than replace it. I guess there's some way I could probably take it apart, and maybe there's some way you can spring those springs back. I know this was a rebuilt clutch. It came with a rebuilt compressor many years ago when I did the engine swap. It was actually cheaper back then to buy a rebuilt compressor to get the V8 clutch, because it was a slant 6 car, than it was just to buy the clutch. So I went that route. Again, the worn out balancer, really crappy. Wow. Yeah, that was a time bomb waiting to happen. And just showing you, it's got a real shallow scallop on it on both sides. That's the way they externally balance to 360. The replacement unit I got, which is Dorman, that's sitting right here. I haven't taken the plastic off of it yet. It's got one deep scallop, and then it's got no scallop on the other side, which is fine. And there's the part number. That's a Dorman 594-132. And I went to several different places to look up balancers. I didn't want any kind of, Harry High School Boy Wonder machine balancer. I just wanted it to look factory and just, basically the job for a very mild, 360 engine. And these were reasonably priced. This was, I think this was well under $100. I think I ordered that one from, I think that was an O'Reilly store. And I think they had some deal where you got 20% off, had some October whatever deal. So I got that and a couple other things. So yeah, I'm going to get busy on this and get this out. And hopefully this ratcheting thing will make my life a lot easier. Hey, just showing y'all, it's slow going, but it's working. I actually, the box end actually fell off, so I was able to get the, open end fell off, I was able to get the box end of the other 11/16 on there. That seems to fit down in there pretty good. I'm actually having to swivel out to get it to ratchet down and get like 2 clicks and then go back over and then pull up. There we go. I'll tell you what, this is going to be slow going. Brutal. Hey, also in case you noticed, I did have to take the return hose off the power steering to get access to there. I couldn't get in between the 2 hoses. So yeah, truly aggravating. Headers. I can see why people don't like headers. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Probably would have taken me 45 minutes with the open end wrench. I think I got this off in about 10 minutes, but it came off really hard. I ended up putting a little WD-40 on it. You can see the snout of the fastener's a little wet. And you talk about fitting by the hair of your chinny chin chin. You look at that fit in between the headers right there. And then me trying to wiggle this thing off. That was tight. If I can actually get it out. Oh, there's where the other nut went. You can see that hiding down in there. You guys probably can't see that with the camera. There it is. Okay, so that's what the third nut is. I've got this thing jacked up with a jack, so everything is moves in and out freely. Well, that one just moved on me. That's okay. I'm probably going to pin that bolt forward just a little bit so the washer on the other end doesn't hang up on that catch that's designed into the engine cradle. And I should be able to just rock this thing out. I'm hoping the power steering box won't be in the way. I don't think it will. I think I should be able to get that out fairly easily. I don't have enough room in front of the header. I don't think I do. If you can look way down in there, just the lighting, maybe I can add a little extra lighting. Maybe that helps, maybe it doesn't. Yeah, I wish you could see the other end of the mount down there. I only have like maybe, you can just barely see the fastener sticking out way below. I've only got like maybe 3 or 4 inches of clearance, and I think that bolt is like every bit of like 6 or 7 inches long. So I'm not going to be able to rock that bolt all the way out, so I'm going to have to try to remove the mount with the bolt in it. Shouldn't be a problem. So this slid out absolutely no problem. It was a little tight. I had to lift the engine up a little higher than I would like to, but I did get it out. Let's see how crappy this one looks. Yeah, you can see the same problem. It's bottomed out. Same deal. I don't remember why I did the JB Weld thing. I remember these particular mounts, when I put them in, they fit kind of loose, but that'll just hammer right out. And you can see this one's delaminated as well. It's actually pulled loose and just about bottomed out as well. So yeah, but you know, the driver's side I guess doesn't get hammered as bad as the passenger side because the engine torques over towards the passenger side. So that always has a tendency to compress that side. But that mount, that's way better than what I had before. So we'll get that in, and hopefully that'll cure my my steering linkage rubbing issues. Oh, I did also buy, where'd I put it? I picked up another Moog on Rock Auto because it was one of those wholesaler closeouts. So I got this for a fraction of the price of what you would pay retail. And just showing you real close what the metal gusher bearing looks like. You can see there's like 3 slots. One of them's covered in grease. And so there's no rubber in there. That's the metal. But what they don't tell you is this end of the part does have rubber in it. And when I change out the idler arm, probably be another video, I'll dissect the old, which I can't remember if it's a Moog or a TRW, and they're all made the same on this end. So even if you buy, picking on that user that he left 2 comments for me last time. They're actually very good ones. One was be safe with the gasket scraping, so we kind of corrected that. But he also mentioned Firmfeel makes a idler arm, and actually Firmfeel actually sells a kit to convert a Moog only, I guess, to roller bearings on this end, which is fine. I've never had a problem with this end on the Moog. The problem is here, and they don't offer the kit to fix that part as far as I could tell. So when we get this apart, I'll show you. There's some kind of elastomer in there. I don't know what kind it is. I don't know if it's urethane or rubber or whatever it is, but that's actually what keeps this centered. And I'm guessing maybe the heat from the headers did it in. This engine never sees 3,000 miles. The car never sees 3,000 miles between oil change and lube. And I lube all of the joints every time I change the oil. It's probably about every 1,500 miles. So yeah, it definitely looked awful kind of greasy underneath there. I'm thinking the grease probably ran out some. But I don't think it had lack of lubrication. I think the problem was the engine rubbing on the steering linkage would probably put stress on it. And then also, you know, the excess heat from the header sitting, you know, down too low. So hopefully that'll fix that problem. And I got a really good buy on this one, so I'm going to use it. As far as I know, for this end of the part, they're all constructed about the same. If there is one that doesn't have rubber in it, I would like to know about it. But from what I investigated on the Firmfeel, it doesn't look like they do anything with that end of the idler. And that's the part that's been failing. And just showing y'all, I just broke this loose, just hammering it. I broke the JB Weld loose around the edges. For whatever reason, this one did not fit well in this bracket. That was the problem with the other one, and the replacement one pressed right in. These are actually bent the ear over. I guess I was a little afraid maybe it could slip out or something. So I'm going to have to bend that ear over, and I'll get this to slide out. You know, again, I guess they made crappy parts 25 years ago too. But yeah, this one was not a press fit like the original, and the replacement one I got seemed to press fit in the other bracket okay. All right, it took a little convincing with the big hammer to get this out. I also had to bend the ears over on the part, bend them back the other way. This part never fit good on this end. It slides right in on the front, and just like the replacement one probably will. There's the JB Weld marks from 25 years ago. And that JB Weld was definitely holding it in place. It really was doing the job. I had to hammer on it quite a bit to break it loose. And I can't get it to go back to the hole because of the way I bent the ears. So just looking at the replacement part, it's a B2369, made in India, like the other one. Power torque, cool. I got the arrows pointing that way. It looks like it drops right in the front, no problem. And then in the rear, I'm going to have to force it in because it's a press fit in the rear. I guess maybe that's the way they were designed, I don't know. But yeah, that's not going to slide right through, which is a good thing. And that's going to fit just fine. For whatever reason, this was a crappy. Oh, I can still see the part number on it. That's interesting. I wonder who made that one. What does that say? I can barely read that. I can't read that without my glasses. Yeah, and then again, I guess who cares, right? All right, we'll get this one pressed in, get the motor mount back in, and then we can concentrate on the rest of the junk. Cool. I can see a little gap around there, but for the most part, it's pressed in. It's very tight. I had to drive it in pretty good. Again, it looks like the press fit part's just on this end, but got the arrows. Well, I can barely see them pointing in the right direction. So that's ready to go back in the car. You can see there's a huge difference in the gap on the top versus the bottom now. So that's going to raise the engine probably pretty close to 1/4 of an inch on the driver's side as well, which is what I was looking for. Ooh, another part number. Cool. 3817169, 3817233, 3817235. I guess take your pick, right? And again, I can't remember which motor mount was the 360 only. It seems like I remember it was the passenger side. So this is probably the same bracket that they all use. Probably 318, 340, 360. Maybe, yeah, definitely not 273, right? Because they didn't have spool type mounts until after they discontinued the 273. All right, cool. Less yakking and more bolt turning. All right, just coming in there showing y'all. I got the new mount set back in place. There's the fasteners. I found it a little easier to just leave the mount sticking up a little high outside of the K-member. It's a lot easier to line up those 3 bolts. And then I'll get the nuts on and tighten that back down. So now I've got a fresh motor mount in there. And that should solve my steering linkage problem. Gosh, I hope it does. All right, we're going to attempt to lever this seal out. I think I'm just going to try it this way. I'm just going to come in and not to try to make sure I don't grab the inside of the timing chain cover. And that probably will just lever it out. What are you talking about in there? It's going, but it's slow going. Just being careful I don't catch the inside of the cover. Make sure I'm not levering against the cover. Nope. Okay. Wow, that is really in there. I almost wonder if I'm better to just drive it back through the other way. Doesn't look like it moved much, does it? I wonder if I actually am better off to drive it through the other way. Get a block of wood. Just wrap it with a mallet. Oh boy, that's loud. Maybe we can just knock it through the other way, I don't know. Wow. It definitely looks like it would go out that way. Okay, maybe that's the way we'll do it. Okay, sure. Actually, to maybe make it a little easier, I'll just take a brass drift, which I just cleaned it up a few minutes ago, so I can't find it. We'll use a larger one to spread the load. We'll do that. I'll just come in. If I can just knock it through that way. Okay, that's one way to do it. All right. Just looking at it, not really sure how you're supposed to press that in. I see a lip here. So I'm going to say I'd say with that lip right there, it's designed to have the seal come in from the front. That would be my guess. But that was one way to get it loose. I don't think I damaged it. I don't think it took the lip off with it. That's fine. Okay. So I guess it was hard to see, but I guess that thing set up in there like that, it actually was coming. I think it came a little past that maybe, or pretty close to it. I bet it bottomed out on it. It's probably definitely designed to go in from the front, I would guess. But boy, that did not want to come out. Probably could have drove it out from the rear. Definitely didn't want to lever out. That thing was in there. All right, we'll clean it up a little bit, press the seal in, give it a coat of paint, and we'll be good to go. Hey, just because I like to just give a little light coat of RTV, just when you're reusing, an old soft aluminum cover in case there is, a few little nicks or something in it. And we're just going to set this in place, and I'm going to drive it in. Probably going to use a block of wood. And I'll just spend the next 15 minutes wiping this RTV off these rubber gloves. Let's see if I can just go in and good grief. Let me see if I can just start it a little bit with this. Oops, that's what I didn't want it to do. I'm probably just better off using a block of wood. Spread the load. already got it cocked in the bore. Try it again. Just like that. Sometimes they go in hard. We'll try tapping it on the high side first just a little bit. Still cocking in the bore. That's a bad sign. Try it again. There we go. Got it started. I should be able to just drive that in without hurting it. This will be fine. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. Make sure I don't dent it in. See if I bottomed it out yet. Actually, that looks like it's in pretty good. Not bad. Yep. Let me wipe all the crud off around it. Let me get a clean paper towel. Just wipe this off. It's clean. So you actually get that in there pretty square. Sure looks like it. I tell you what, just for good measure, I'll just go around and just hit it. Just wrap it gently a couple more times. Not going to hurt anything. Okay, got it in nice and square. I don't think it's poking up high anywhere. You can certainly tell from looking around here. It looks like it's evenly poking up to the edges. All right, so now I know we won't be wasting paint on one that I would crack later. So we're good. You're rolling. Nice. Yeah, it's amazing how Chrysler blue looks nothing like GM corporate blue. Yeah, that'll clean up just fine. She'll be factory fresh. All right, let's take a look at this. There's a new balancer, and like I talked about before, it's only scalloped on one side as opposed to the factory one. And I'll show you the difference here. It has a really deep scallop here, and you see it's got a very thin one in the factory here, noting of course this one had a little chunk missing from it, from the wrecking yard. But you can see that's quite a bit deeper. So I was a little hesitant at first when I saw it come out of the box, but I thought, well, you know, this has got to be you know, so that's like 430 deep. I get that right? Yeah. And then this one is, you know, this one's only like 240 something deep. So they definitely do all the, I guess you would say, the engineer the imbalance in on this side or that side, however you look at it. But you can see this is, you know, significantly shallower above ends. And they look to be the exact same part other than that. I guess they even have the notches here, I guess, for holding the puller when you tighten the balancer bolt. So that looks good. You can see what a good one looks like. It doesn't have the elastomer creeping out of it like this one is, where it's actually walking out of the balancer. It's actually coming out. Kind of looking at the balancer, it actually looks like maybe it's not mounted perfectly true anymore. I can see right here it's perfectly level here, and then it's a little lower on this side. So that balancer actually had maybe not completely walked around the hub. So if we take it and line it up with the splines like that, let's see where the timing marks are. Oh, I guess it did move around a little bit, huh? Of course, we're assuming that the factory balance, the new one, is timed right, but you see the timing mark here? That's off by like, I don't know, 4 or 5 degrees. So just looking down the hole, you can see I lined everything up. Let me just move that a little bit so you can see. See right there. Just line that up just like that. So the timing marks definitely do not line up. They're off by quite a bit. I say that's off by a good 6 degrees. And trying to think about this, the way the engine turns, it almost looks like this one actually moved backwards to engine rotation. So that would be the same as making it look like the timing's retarded, which actually would actually make you over advance. Of course, I just time an engine by ear. I time it to all the timing it'll take until it just starts to ping, and then I back off like 2 degrees. And that's how I do it. So I don't really care what the mark's telling me. I care what the engine tells me. But definitely looking at that, I would say, just guessing, that thing probably did actually walk around the hub a little bit. On an externally balanced engine, having the balancer walk around on the hub is not a good thing. Okay, I think this will be a 2-coater. Yep, let's get her done. Oh yeah, nice Chrysler blue. Good stuff. Oh yeah, it looks good. Then just come in here on both sides. It's a little thin right in there, underneath the crossovers. Just got a little thin spot right there. The wind's blowing the paint on you instead of the part. No worries.
Now I'm blue.
Yep.
Since the wind is blue paint on me, can I identify as a Mopar now?
There you go. Mopar blue. True blue.
You want me to paint the top too?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Alright. And of course the wind starts
Of
blowing.
course the wind's blowing, yeah. Oh, we should come out with a big piece of cardboard.
Oh no, can's running out.
Uh-oh. Might be a half blue balancer. Oh, genius. Should have stood behind the wall before. Should have let the Marx Brothers paint it. Also just wiping the paint off the areas where we don't want it to flake off inside the engine, and also we want to have a clean gasket surface. Again, it looks a little scrungy because it's pitted, but it's definitely grease and oil free, and we'll have no problem getting silicone and a fresh fiber gasket to seal that up. I also forgot to tape up the seal, so I used a little mineral spirits to get the paint off the inside of the seal, leaving it on the outside because I think it has a tendency, enamel engine paint has a tendency to preserve the rubber, and then you get the oil from the inside to keep the rubber fairly soft and pliable. Maybe just a touch, a little blue left in there. I may go back and just hit that with a little more mineral spirits. That shouldn't hurt the rubber. And I think we're good to go. Everything's nice and blue. Looks factory fresh. Moses.